In this video, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. And all I did was change the background in DaVinci Resolve and Set.A.Light. Okay, so here in DaVinci Resolve, I have my ACAM and my BCAM here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my ACAM and then come over to the color tab. Okay, so right away you'll notice that I've already gone in and I've color graded my clip. I'm not going to go over in this tutorial how to color grade. I'm just going to go over how I composite myself out here from the background. Now let me just do a quick note on the background. So you want to make sure your background doesn't have anything distracting in it. I think that filming it against a white wall, or if you can film it against a green screen, if you can film yourself far away enough to where you don't have that awkward spill, just find like a plain background and film yourself against that. Now, just keep in mind the background is in some ways going to determine the kind of background that you're going to use once we get over to Set.A.Light. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so to composite myself out, first things first is I'm going to come over to the tab that says Magic Mask. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to come over to quality. You'll notice that there's faster and better. So I'm going to click on better and then click the little plus sign here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down on me and then across a little bit. So it's just a basic scribble across me. And I'll let go. Now, right away, you don't really notice too much going on here. So there's one extra step that we got to do here. So I'm going to come over to my node grade window here and I'm going to right click and hit Add Alpha Output. And then I'm going to take this Magic Mask node here, and I'm going to attach it to that alpha output. Okay, there we go. So you can see that I've been composited out. So the AI engine in DaVinci Resolve is amazing for this effect, I think. All right, so this is just one frame that's been rendered. So you want to render all the frames in your clip. And by the way, if you have a very, very long clip, I'd say maybe cut it up into different segments because this does take up a lot of memory on your computer to run it. So just keep that in mind if your machine isn't super beefy. Okay, so to render it, I just come to where these arrows are, this back arrow and this front arrow, and I just click on that, and that renders backwards and forwards in the clip. All right, so we're gonna head over to the Set.A.Light program right now. Okay, so now we're in Set.A.Light 3D Studio. Now, just a quick note, if you want to go and check the software out, I did include a link down in the description below. I'm not sponsored by Set.A.Light 3D, it's just for your convenience, so that way you can go and download it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click on Large Room. So basically, this program is just a virtual program where you can come in and create these sets. So we're in this confined space, and then this is the rendering of the shot we're getting here. So you'll notice this is our camera, this is our light, this is our model. So this camera here actually has very dialed in settings here. So you can adjust the focal length, aperture, all the exposure settings are right here, and the camera settings as well. And so right away, we're just gonna switch this orientation and let's change the aspect ratio to 16:9. And again, I've selected this camera here so I can do that. Okay, so our goal with Set.A.Light is what we want to do is we want to create a virtual set that closely matches the lighting that was in our original shots. So to do this, we have to keep a few things in mind. So the first thing is we have to keep in mind the setting in which we shot it. So I shot this against a white wall using one key light and a tube hair light behind me. And I had my ACAM and my BCAM set up, and I took note of how far the camera was away from me approximately, as well as the focal length the camera was at. So all those things are going to come into play here. So first things first, I'm going to click on my camera, and you'll notice that all the settings are dialed in here pretty solidly. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come here and I'm just going to delete everything except for the camera and the model. So we'll delete all this stuff here. All right, so let's go ahead and create our wall. So to do that, we're going to come down to props. And we're gonna go click on, and then we're gonna click on wall element. And we'll just put that wall element behind our model there. And we're going to make the width longer. And we're gonna make the height taller. Okay. And then let's go ahead and change the texture. So I'm not a big fan of the bricks. I don't think that's going to match the lighting, since we filmed this against a white wall, because you have to keep in mind when you film against a white wall, light is going to bounce around and hit you too. So we want to try to emulate that whiteness, but we also want to have some texture. Like I wouldn't want it just to be like this basic wall here. Let's add some texture here. So we'll do this bricks one here. I like that. And then let's go ahead and Command C and go Command V. And let's rotate this other side out. And I'm going to use position X here to move it back. So I'm just dragging my mouse here to move it. And then position Y, we'll slide it forward. Okay. Maybe get the width to be a little bit longer here. So we'll go out a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now let's go ahead and bring our camera way, way back and bring our model towards the camera. Let's just go ahead and put a light in this room. This light is mostly just a work light. It's not going to be a permanent light here. It's just so you can kind of see what's going on before we actually adjust the actual light here. So we'll just go ahead and stick this huge airy HMI in here. That way we can just kind of see what's going on. Just bounce it up into the ceiling here. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our model here and we're going to go to pose. And let's go ahead and go to the male poses and let's get her to sit, because I was sitting in the shot. Again, this doesn't have to be precise, like we don't have to be exact with this model, because in the end, we're just going to end up erasing the model once we have the background all set up. But the model's just there to help us position the camera in the correct spot. So let's go ahead and change it to, we'll try this one here. Okay, and then we're gonna adjust this a little bit here. Okay, and then she's obviously hunched over, so we're gonna have her sit up a little bit more. So I'm coming over here to posing mode, and I'm gonna go to simple mode here, and let's just move her up a little bit more. And we'll go back to advanced mode, zoom in, and let's rotate her waist up a little bit more. And let's go ahead and move her hands down too, just so they're not in the way as much. Okay, that's good enough. We'll just discontinue posing mode. And let's go ahead and rotate her and move her center here. Now let's adjust our camera settings here. So let's change to film camera. And right now we're at 91 millimeters. So originally I was at 55. So we'll zoom out to 55. And then I'm going to move in close. So I think that resembles pretty closely to where I was at with that shot. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the wall in a little bit closer to where we don't see the floor as much. All right, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to come over to our continuous lights here down below again, and let's go ahead and build a background of tube lights. So I'm going to come over to my Titan tube here, and we'll go ahead and start building this out. So now what we want to do is we want to try to recreate the light that we used on set to match what's on here. And so if you look at, so basically what I did is I used an aperture 200D here and with a softbox around it and a grid. So the closest thing that they have in this program to that would be a 300D Mark II. So I'll go ahead and just use that. So we'll bring the 300D out here. And we'll want to make sure that this is checked here. So that'll lock in and make sure that it's locked in on the target. And then we can also come here and rotate the light towards the model. So wherever we move the light, you'll notice how it's always going to be on our model. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to come over to our change light shaper, and let's change it to a light dome, because I was using a light dome. And let's go ahead and change the material that's on the light dome, and let's put the grid on, because I had the grid on when I was using it. So again, we're just trying to get it to match as close as possible. Let's get another Titan tube. So this time I'm just going to bring it down. I'm not going to copy and paste it because I had a tube behind my subject here. And let's go ahead and move around so we can see what we're doing here. And let's rotate it this way. And now I'm going to adjust the pitch a little bit more. Okay. And then let's just make sure it's pointed towards our model here. Okay, and we'll rotate it a little bit. Okay, so it is hitting her a little bit on the top there. Now we're going to take our HMI here and let's adjust the ambience in the background. So we could turn it way down if we wanted to. If we wanted to go a lot darker, we can also turn it up a lot brighter if we want to. Turn it up really bright, but I don't think we need to do that. So let's go ahead and just keep it about halfway there. So that is going to be our ACAM setup. So let's go ahead and come over to timeline and let's hit snap to take what's called a snapshot. So basically what it's doing is it's saving our work in time here. So you can picture that as like being a history of our work. We can go back in time too. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get our BCAM set up. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our model and we'll make sure that the eye contact is turned off. And then let's go and move our camera now. So we'll move this around. So we'll move it approximately where we had it initially. All right, so that matches pretty closely to what our shot was. So we'll add a few things. We'll just add a few more tubes on this side. All right, so we'll just keep it to something like that. And then I'm going to come over to timeline, make another snapshot. Okay, so our last step is we want to remove the model from these shots, but we want to make sure our camera doesn't try to focus on the background when we do that. We want to still keep the focus where our model was at. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to delete our model from the shot. Now we want to keep the focal length exactly where our model is at. So to do that, we're going to come over to our camera and we're going to scroll down to manual focus and then we'll hit focus. So it focuses on our model. And then we're going to click on our model and we'll hit delete. And it keeps the focus the same there. It doesn't try to do any autofocus. Okay, so I'll hit snap. And then let's come over to our ACAM. So click on our ACAM. And one thing that's cool about when you go to each of these shots here, you'll notice how it literally goes back in time here to where you can stage things. So it's very convenient in that way. So we're going to come over to our camera, do the same thing. Go to manual focus, and we're going to hit focus again to focus on our model. And keep it in manual, and then we'll click on our model, and then we'll hit delete. And then we'll hit snap. Okay, so now we're gonna render out these two shots. So to do that, we're gonna come over to our export tab, and I'm gonna come over to quality settings, and I have all my quality settings to the absolute highest here. You can adjust this accordingly to how you would like it to be. Okay, so now we'll hit export. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and close and save. And we're going to jump back over to DaVinci Resolve now. Okay, so let's go ahead and insert the stills we made in Set.A.Light into our timeline. Okay, so we've got our ACAM and our BCAM, so I'll just slide this over and extend that out. Slide that over and extend that out.